Welcome to Lesson 4. A script can do different things depending on what values it has been passed. To determine which path to take, programmers often rely upon these three concepts: evaluations, decisions, and loops. Evaluations allow you to analyze values and determine whether or not they match expected results. Decisions are when you use the results of the evaluation and decide which path your script should go down. Loops allow you to perform the same set of steps repeatedly. Flowcharts can help you plan for all these occasions. In the following flowchart, the diamond shape represents a decision point in the code. There are two paths the code can take. Each path will have its own set of tasks, which means writing code for each of these sections. There are two components to a decision: expressions that are evaluated, which return a value, a conditional statement that says what to do in a given situation. To determine which path to take, you set a condition. You set a check to see if one value is equal to another, greater than another, or less than another. A true condition takes you down one path, a false takes you down another path. You can also combine multiple conditions in one statement, which means you can check if two or more conditions are met, or if one of many conditions are met. Okay, so we're going to look at decisions and loops within code. So first we're going to start with comparison operators. So once this script loads, it says double passed false. So if we look at the JavaScript, we have two variables, the passing score and the actual score. And so we here has passed, check if the user has passed. So this returns a value, a score greater than or equal to passed, and that value is stored here. And then we pass it on to the getElementById answer, store this element, and that displays what is stored in here. So right now it's false because the score is less than 55. So if we change the score to 65, the JavaScript runs and says true because 65 is greater than or equal to 55. Additionally, if we change this to 55, it's still true because it is equal. Now if we change the passing score range to, let's say, 95, that also goes back to false because the score, 55, is not greater than or equal to 95. And if we go continued, so check if the scores are higher than the current high scores. Here we're testing comparison. We're adding two scores together and checking if these two scores added together are greater than the high scores added together. And then we're putting that message into the element answer, new high score plus the comparison, which is storing it here. So we have a high score of 75 and high score 2 is 95. And we're checking if the new scores, score 1 and score 2 added together, are greater than this one. So if we change this one to 65, we get new high score false because these two added together is not more than the two high scores added together. Okay, here we go. We're looking at the two scores and two passing. So check whether user passed both rounds and store result in a variable. So what's happening here? We're checking is score 1 greater than equal to the passing for passing score, and score 2 greater than equal passing 2. So here we see score 1 is going to become 8. And is that greater than equal to passing score of 6? Yes, so this part is true. So we could technically write R has both equals true. True for now. And so score 2 is greater than or equal to pass 2. So score 2 is also 8, and it is greater than passing score of 6. So that's true and true for this part. So I'm going to change this one to TMP. Now if we do true and false, is false because both parts are not true. This one is logical and. Is this true and this true? So let me change this one back, comment this out, uncomment this one. So to see that with this comparison, so let's say the passing score for 2 was 10. That relates to false because this part stays true and this part became false. So true and false is false. Okay, logical or and logical not. Let's open that up. Oops, put that over here. All these things are opening. There. Okay, so this checks whether these are past one of the 2 rounds and store that result in a variable. So here we have score 1 greater than or equal to passing score 1, or score 2 greater than or equal passing score 2. So let's take a look at score 1. Score is 8. Is it greater than passing 6, or score 2, 8, greater than or equal passing 2? So this is true and this is true. So minimum pass is true. So we create this message, reset required. Okay. Reset required, minimum pass. But here there's an exclamation, it means not. So while this is true, this one is saying do not whatever this answer is. So if this is false, this is not false. If this is true, this is not true. So right now this is true, so it's displaying false. Another way to think of this min pass is true, false. And if I change this one to a straight false, it becomes true. So how do you think of this not operator? It's like do the opposite. If it's true, like I said, do the opposite of whatever this is. This value is. Okay. And here we go with our if statement. Right, so we've got score 75, and we declare in the variable message. So if the score is greater than or equal to 50, the message is congratulations, and proceed to the next round, and we write that to the screen. Now let's try changing the score to 45. We have undefined. We should probably add something here, which we will do in the next step. If statement with the function. Okay, so if statement with the function. Here we created a function, congratulate. Message, congratulations. So same thing, the score is here. Function, congratulate. This is what it's going to do. So if the score is greater than 50, we're going to congratulate. And then we're going to add a message to that. Proceed to the next round. And we're going to write it out. And that's what happens. So if we change this one to 90, it should be empty. 70, it comes back. And here we go with the else statement. So if the score is greater than the passing score, message, congratulations, you passed. Else, have another go. So our score is 75. Is that greater than 50? It's not. I mean, no, our score is greater than 50, so we do get the congratulations message. Now let's say the passing score was 90. Now we get, it goes down here, we get the other message, have another go. So what I did here within NetBeans, you can do this. This is the debugger. So I put a breakpoint here at message. So now I can see what the scores are: 75 and passing score 90. I'm not sure if you can see that. Let me magnify that. Okay, there we go. So when you have this breakpoint here in your code and you execute the page, you can put your mouse, hover your mouse over the variables. See, it says score equals 75. So at this point in the code execution, the score equals 75 and the passing was 90. So that's why I jumped down to this else statement. And right now message is undefined because we haven't added a message yet. So if I add another breakpoint right here, and I'm going to continue, it's going to jump down to here where it's told it to stop. So now message should have a value, have another go, because it was already assigned here. I'm gonna add another breakpoint over here and press run, and then we should see this element. It's going to be the element HTML element answer. If you do click it, you can see all the properties and methods associated with this element, but what's important is it's going to be assigned this message. And we're going to exit the magnifier. And once I continue, this will fill in with the message. There we go. So this is the debugger is a pretty helpful tool for finding any mistakes or errors in your code. So we'll continue with the next decision, switch. I shouldn't have closed that. Let me get this back over there to the side. Okay. So switches are kind of like if statements, except they test different cases. So here we defined a message which is empty, and we defined a level too. So it says determine message based on the level. So we're going to tell the switch, okay, we're going to decide based on this variable, which is level. And these are, in each case, is a value that level can be. So one way to think of it is like if level equals 1, do this. So let's do that there. So in our case, level equals 2. So the switch is going to work like this. Level, is it equal to 1? No. Go on to the next case. 2. Okay, message equals, it does so. Our message will be assigned second of 3. Keep going. Break. So it's important to have these breaks. It tells the interpreter where to stop in its evaluation. So if I commented out this break, it would do case 2 and just go on to the next one where it's reassigned and breaks. See how I changed to final round even though it was in case 2. So if I add that back, second of 3. So it's important when you're using switches to use breaks once you finished your case. Otherwise, it's going to keep running right through. and then there's a default. So if you give it a number, let's say that I give this, for some reason I give this, change that into a string 2. It's going to say good luck because it's not numerical 2, it's not numerical 3. What's the default message? Good luck. And so that's how switches work. And for loops. Okay, so for this one, we got scores in an array. And we know that we're getting the array length by scores.length. So that tells you how many items there are. We're going to start with at round 0, and our message is empty. So we're going to loop through the items in the array. So we have to start with this counter. So we go var I equals 0. So we're going to start from 0, while I is less than the length of the array. And then for each time it loops over, we're going to add plus plus. So a lot of things just happen here. So we declared I, and it's going to start from 0. And is I less than the length of the array, which should be up here. And each time you loop over, I plus plus. So I plus plus, the long way of doing it is I equals I plus 1. So that's what that equals. Well, that's what this means, I plus plus. So, like that there. So as it goes through, it's gonna go round equals I plus 1. Then you're gonna write the message. So message, round, so plus the round number, and colon, then we're gonna keep adding to the message. This plus equal means keep adding to the last message. Scores. The scores in its position in the array, and then a line break. Once it finishes creating this this message, then we're going to write out the message to the element answer. So let's use the debugger and stop it. See, for I will stop it here at round number, then again at message. So when I reload the page, oh, what happened? Well, the debugger just decided not to work with me right now. Well, then we're going to change some variables and see how it interacts with the page. So here we're going to change, we're going to add some scores. So 23, 14, 18, just random numbers. And hit save. There we go. We got 7 variables and they added them over here. And this is I. We can even add a message. We can do this alert. I. So there it goes. And all the alerts popped up. See, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that's the index. You can see it loop around. That's using the I. So after the for loops is a while loop. So look at the source code. Okay. So this one works differently than the for loop. So this one checks this condition and keeps going until it's true. So while I is less than 10, I mean, it keeps going until this is false. So while I is less than 10, do this. And so this one we manually change I while it's looping. And there's the result. So set I equals 1, message, empty message. So while it's less than 10, we're going to have message I plus times 5, and we'll add I times 5 and the line break. Now if you forget to use this one, which sometimes happens, it'll go into infinite loop, and we should see this give us a warning after a while. Yep, there, I think it's crashed. There we go. Not sure if you can see it. Let me magnify that. And there's the error. JavaScript execution exceeded timeout at while loop. So that pretty much tells you, oh, something's wrong with the while loop. Get rid of that. And oh, you don't even have to, so this one increments by 1. You don't have to increment by 1. Oops, I'll delete it. Come out. You can do I equals I plus 2. And there will loop every other number. I, and the next number is 3, 5, 7, 9. You know, this can be, 4. And so it loops 1, 5, 9 and stops because the next number is greater than 10. Great. Let's check out our next do while loop. So this one works kind of like the while loop, except it will do it. It'll run your statements at least once. So var I equals 1, var message. So while I less than 1. So I equals 1. So it will do this once and stop. So now even I change this to 0. It'll exit these once and stop as well. If I change this to 10, makes no difference because that's still executes once. The value inside changes, but because this while statement becomes false right away, it stops. But let's say I change this back to 1, and while I is greater than 10, that's also false. So that executes once, and I is not greater than 10, so it stopped. And if we do I less than 10, it'll keep going, just like a while loop, until it's no longer less than 10. So once I becomes 10, it's not less than 10, so it stopped at 9. So you can look at the example. All right, so here we got a table. We have an operator, addition. We're going to have our counter and our message. So if operator triple equals addition, we're going to execute these statements. If it doesn't, we're going to do these statements. So for now, I'm going to change this to multiplication so that this changes. So the operators come here. Does it equal addition? No. So do multiplication. So that means this could have been anything else. This could have been sleep for some reason, and it would still do multiplication because it doesn't do a second check. It just checks the first time, is that operator addition? No, it's not. We're going to do our multiplication here, and then we're going to do a while loop in here, and we're going to start with I and I starts at 1. So it's going to be I, X, tables. So we're doing our 3's table equals I times table. So it means the first one will be 1 times 3, which we get here. We can even change, we can set I to equal to 0. It'll start there. If we wanted to, -1. So start at -1, 0, and then go down to 10. Another way to do this one, we could have written this equal to 10. But they chose to use 11, less than 11. So here we're combining. So we're combining our if else, and within our if else we used a while loop, and we assigned it onto the blackboard here. Okay. And I promised a motorcycle, so create a variable speed. Okay, speed equals 0 for 0 miles per hour. Okay, and I'll do while speed greater than 50, message is equal looping in the sphere. And at this point I'll just make the message empty. Speed plus plus. Nothing happens because I started at too low of a speed, so let's yeah, I want to have a JavaScript execution error. There we go. So we used our logical AND here. So while the speed is greater than 50 and the speed has to be less than 100, print out this message. I could also add a BR in there. And there it goes, looping in the sphere, looping in the sphere. And it goes right off the page. I could have done this to 200. And there it goes. But 200 loops. Well, less than 200 loops. All the way down here. Okay. And that's it for lesson 4, decisions and loops.